All right, welcome back to my channel as we continue our class. Today is the sixth edition of our training, CorelDraw training. And as we all know, um, please, if you are new to this channel, please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for subsequent video. I want to, in a very special way, welcome you once again to today's training, being the sixth edition of this CorelDraw. As we all know, the last class we had, we talked about freehand tool and their functions. Of course, what freehand is all about, what 2-point line is all about, what Bezier is all about, what pen is all about, what B-spline is all about, polyline, and 3-point curve. And I believe it was a very great class for that very day. And please, if you have any question to ask based on what we've learned so far from the class 1 to the 5th class, please do well to drop your comments, and I will respond as soon as I can. Thank you as we continue our online tutorial class. Now, today we'll be talking about artistic media and their functions. We have artistic media tool, which using your keyboard, you press I. Just strike the key I on your keyboard and it picks the toolbox. Artistic media tool is where we add artistic brush, spray and calligraphy effects by using freehand strokes. So what it means is that we can actually get different kinds of artistic medias. When they talk about artistic, it's already made symbol that you can just go then pick out whatever you want. Of course, I remind us that whatever we pick from this toolbox, automatically the property bar changes to the function of that very toolbox we picked. So let's start with this artistic media tool. So once I click on it, you discover that the property bar has changed totally. So of course, what we have, all this is what we have: the presets and the brush, the sprayer and co. They are like that, calligraphy and co, right? All what was mentioned while explaining the artistic media. So the first one we have is the preset. So let's see what we have in preset. Now, once you click on it, press down your left key and just drag. Let's see what we have there. Of course, you can as well come to the preset stroke and make different types of presets you want. Of course, this was the one we were using while we draw the first one. So I can decide to change to this. And one, it's just as if you typed something, you typed a text, and it brings you where you can change the text font style. So it's the same thing as this. So anything you draw, you can as well come to the preset stroke and make changes. Now you watch, you see that it's changing automatically, okay, based on what you've drawn. And you know, here has to do with the smoothing. How do you want the edges to be smooth? Now, if I reduce the reduce the smoothing and try drawing another one, you discover that this is more sharper than this in terms of edges. Okay, now that is what smoothing does. And let's assume I still pick something and draw, right? What here is all about is the width. That means how you want the thickness to be. Of course, I can reduce it very well. I'll keep reducing. How do you want the thickness to be? And let's assume I want it like this, like on 20, right? Let's say 10. Now, do you see what is happening? 0.1. Now, look at the thickness of this, and this is not the same. So once you adjust it here and draw, you discover that it is now tiny. Okay, you discover that it's now tiny. So of course, you can increase it back. You can increase as the case may be. You can increase. So that is all about this. So what happens here is applicable to all this, but there is one interesting aspect of the remaining ones. Of course, this is the preset, all right? They say where we draw a curve by using preset vector shapes. Of course, these are the preset vector shapes that we are seeing here. Okay, and you discover that you can actually use them during designs. So still on this artistic media tool, let's go to that of brush and see what we have for brush. Now in this situation now it has to go with brush. Once we explore the categories of the brush, we are still in brush. Okay, so that means these are different types of symbol. Once you click and drag and draw, of course you can change it to different type of what brush stroke you want. I can decide to draw another symbol, right? Then um change the brush stroke. Okay, and it may interest you to know that all these you are seeing, we will be applying them during design. Once we start our design fully, you discover that all these things you are seeing, they actually have their functions and what they stand for in designs, because without them we cannot our design will not be complete as we think it is. Okay, now because we are under brush, it's still bringing us things that has to do with brush. That is when I picked the food and try to draw things that has to do with food, you discover that they say no stroke available, because I've not gone to either the calligraphy, right? And we are still in brush. So everything that has to do with brush has to do with symbol. And that is why it's still bringing us to symbol. Once you draw, you see that it's activated and you can as well make your choices. Okay. Now, the next one we have is the sprayer. So let's see what we have for sprayer. Of course, let me delete this, pick back this, and of course we are in spray. Now it is under spray that the food is activated, right? It's under spray because while we picked that of brush, it was in symbol by default. But when we now picked that of sprayer, food now appeared, meaning we have different types of food here. It's just like, of course, it's just like the spray pattern. They call it spray pattern. Once you pick the one you want, then you choose the pattern. Of course, if it's this I want, I can just draw. Just click and draw. It will bring in different types of food. Okay. Now it will interest you to know that I can as well use this as a background. Okay, I've told us this before, and let's assume I want to use this as a background. Only what I need to do is don't mind what I'm doing now. I'll just place this inside the container. Let's say, don't mind what I'm doing now. I can just try to reduce the transparency. Now just watch. I can do something like this, right? Of course, we'll still come to this, and it turns to a background. Any color gives, I give the background. Any color I give the background, any color I give the background, you discover that that food still shows, right? It will keep showing. And all these things you are seeing us doing, just take your time and actually go through it. Take your time and practice it, because as time goes on, while we are advancing in this class, we will start doing design. So I just want you to take your time and be practicing all these classes that we are doing for now, because I know once we start the design proper, you discover that all these toolbox we are explaining, they are very important. I remember telling us that toolbox is one of the most important active bar in graphics, because without this toolbox, of course, you can't come up with anything. Where do you pick your text to write something, or where do you pick your shape to draw? Okay, so that is it about the toolbox, and we continue where we stop with the artistic media tool, right? So the calligraphy now, of course, has to do with line too. If you remember that line, just like line, okay, it's just like line too, but it comes with his own um artistic drawing. Okay, it comes with his own what artistic drawing. Of course, here is where we can thicken the width if you want it to be as more than thick as what you think. Of course, this it was 1 before, and I increased this to 3. So once I draw now, you see it very, very thick. Of course, the same thing happens here. This is the angle. This is 45 degree. I can turn it to 90 degree and see how the positioning will be. All right. Are you seeing what is happening here? If I turn it to 270, right, and press enter, of course, you see the positioning. So if I bring it back to 90 and draw, okay, you can see. So that is all about the artistic drawing art. So the last thing we have is that of expression. So let's see what we have in expression. So this is the expression. It's just the same thing as line. Okay, it's just similar thing, the same thing as line, where you can reduce the thickness. Okay, and you see it being lesser than what it was before, because it was around 3.0. I reduced it to 1.0, and that is all about the artistic. Okay, that is all about the artistic. Then the next one we have is the live sketch. Live sketch, of course, the shortcut striking from the keyboard is S. Like I told us, that one of the thing that makes one a very good graphic artist is shortcuts. So you must have to know these tools, all right, before we can now begin to apply shortcuts while we are advancing in our design. So once I click on this live sketch, of course, this is what live sketch is, just like line. What we have in this freehand is what live sketch gives you. You can use it to draw a signature, right? Of course, it has, that is just the work of this live sketch. Okay, if you feel like thickening the width, you can just thicken it, right? Let's assume. Now if you feel like and having making it to have a distance from curve, of course you can increase. Just play around it and see what we have. Okay, you play around it and see what we have. Now this is how smooth you want it. Of course, the way the something is as tiny as anything, so even though you draw, you may not know whether it's that smooth or not. So but the bone of contention about this live sketch is simply where we can as well draw a stroke line. Okay, and which is what we have here. And the last one we have is what? Smart drawing. But before then, before we continue, please, if you are still new to this my channel, please, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for subsequent video. Okay, let's continue. Welcome back. So the smart drawing is, of course, from the keyboard. We have shift. You press down shift and press S. That is the shortcut. You can as well try that and see if it will pick the toolbox for you. This same thing now has to do with what? Line. It's just everything about line, right? You can thicken the line. Okay, it's just everything that has to do with line. Okay, everything that has to do with line, after which you can just tick the line. Okay, so that is all about artistic media tool and the functions. So I believe we've learned what artistic media is all about, what the live sketch is all about, and the smart drawing. Of course, inside this artistic media, we have a whole lot. And following what we have in our property bar, you know when to apply that of symbol using brush. Of course, by default, the category changes to symbol, where you can have different type. You can use this, all these things you're seeing, you can use them as background. And as time goes on, I will be showing us how to even use this to write maybe a guest artist name in design. Of course, you see it as a zigzag, and one can just decide to give this a color and just come here and write Pastor Paul Jega. Let's just say, right, this is Pastor Paul Jega as the guest minister, right? And let's say under it, I can just put guest minister, right? Of course, I will give it red color. Maybe I will utilize it, reduce it a little so that it will not be competing with the main name. Okay, right? So in as time goes on, you come to discover that all these things we are doing is actually what we'll be using and once we start the design proper. Okay, so it's just good we get to know about this, all these tools, we get to know about it very very well. Of course, I can just decide to do something like that here, and maybe on top of it will now be where the guest speaker picture will be. So how do you see this now? You now see that is actually interesting that wow, so we can actually use this to formulate where we can put someone's name, a guest minister's name, and next thing we have is you will now place picture, right? Or you just write picture here. Hmm? Okay, you just write picture here, right? Now it's part of what we are talking about here. How do you see it? Okay, so I believe in this sixth edition online tutorial for this CorelDraw class, you've been able to know what artistic media, LiveSketch, and smart drawing is all about. I want to beg all my viewers to please have patience so that we can explore all these toolbox and know their uses before we can commence our design proper, because this is the main thing you need to know. This without this, once I just open this corridor and start doing design, of course you'll be dumbfounded because you don't know where to go, which tools to use, when to use them, and how to apply them. So that is the importance of this my training concerning mastering the toolbox in CorelDraw. So I believe with this you are following, and I still want us to keep following, and please share to friends. Tell friends they might be interested in this, and you don't just need any physical um, person to come and be intruding in your daily activity because he or she want to teach you CorelDRAW. Of course, once you follow this with me online, you discover that you'll be an expert, just the way I introduced this CorelDRAW to us at first, that become an expert in graphics. So thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing to my channel, and I would like to see you in my subsequent video. Have a blessed day. Bye.